Let's take a walk down memory lane in honor of the Oscar winner's new thriller, The Little Things, shall we? I was only 10.5 years old when My So-Called Life premiered on television in 1994, but even back then I can remember girls going gaga for the show, and not just because it featured a relatable teenage lead in Claire Danes. No, it was also because of the cute boy who played the rebellious yet sensitive Jordan Catalano. His name was Jared Leto, and given his killer hair and puppy dog eyes, it was immediately clear that he was a star in the making. My So-Called Life was cancelled after a single season, but Leto's life in Hollywood was just beginning. Just 5 years later, he had already worked with directors like David Fincher, Terrence Malick, Darren Aronofsky and James Mangold. Over the course of the next 20 years, Leto blossomed into an Oscar-winning actor, though he still behaved like a damaged provocateur, making more headlines for terrorizing his Suicide Squad co-stars with used condoms than for his actual performance as the Joker, a role he'll soon reprise in Zack Snyder's Justice League, coming March 18th. But let's not get ahead of ourselves, for today we celebrate the release of Leto's other HBO Max movie, The Little Things. Writer-director John Lee Hancock has been trying to make this movie since Leto first arrived on the Hollywood scene in the early 90s. Numerous A-list stars flirted with the script over the years, though I don't think Hancock would complain about ultimately landing Denzel Washington and fellow Oscar winners Rami Malek and Leto, the latter of whom plays a suspected serial killer. Image via Warner Brothers. In honor of the release of The Little Things, click here for Collider's review. I decided to examine Leto's career in order to identify and rank his 10 best movies. Now, you'll notice that the thin red line is absent on the list below, but that's because Leto's character is killed off early, so even though that's a great movie, it's not really a great, Jared Leto movie. The same can be said of Girl, Interrupted, another good film in which the actor briefly appears as Winona Ryder's ex-boyfriend. I also bypassed interesting failures like Blade Runner 2049 and, yes, Suicide Squad, and not because Leto is bad in those films, he's not, but because I just can't stand either of those movies. He's even decent in Oliver Stone's historical epic Alexander, but the cut of that movie that I saw back in the day was a train wreck, one that I've never cared to revisit. Still, I managed to find 10 solid movies in which I appreciated what Leto was up to, and though not all of the movies are great, see number 9, and at least 2 of the better films on this list feature Leto in relatively small parts. This is Jared Leto's so-called career as I see it, for better or worse. He has certainly come a long way from Jordan Catalano. Without further ado, here we go. 10.